adult language and discussions. If you're easily offended, do not continue.
We would be honored if you would join us.
How are you feeling? Your latest workups on your condition indicate that all damage has been reversed. Recovery is total. I believe you have been quite fortunate. No further thanks are necessary, Commander, but you are most welcome. It is my function and pleasure as a medical droid to help and heal human beings.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Star Wars from the Bacta tank, and this will be a Bacta update. I finally got it right.
All right. Now, after how long?
Like 25 shows. So that's right. We are back for another Bacta tank update, and we kind of rushed this one this week because, of course, every day new information's coming out, and I put something actually came out. I told myself I wasn't going to complete the show notes until we actually started the show because I had an email sent to me with more information pertaining to Star Wars Rogue One, the standalone film that was just announced, I believe, roughly 10 days ago or so?
Yeah, just about over a week.
Yeah. So this will be a show specifically pertaining to Rogue One and kind of what we know so far. We're going to flesh out some topics, and then also we're going to, play devil's advocate, kind of speculate a bit on this news because there's lots to speculate.
There is. When
it comes to this. And the biggest news that we've been talking about since day one when they announced the new trilogy and the standalones, we said, will John Williams compose all these movies? I mean, the guy can't do it physically. He can't do every standalone film.
I hate to say it, he is really old.
He is.
He's near his retirement age.
Come on, when 80 years you reach.
So
don't judge him.
Don't judge.
Judge him by his size, do you?
I can't judge him by his size.
But I want to give the listeners first a bit of a background, if you didn't listen to our last update, on exactly what Rogue One is. Now, Rogue One is going to be the first official Star Wars standalone film that was announced, like I said, about roughly a little over a week ago.
Yeah, by Gareth Edwards. Right.
Now, Felicity Jones will play the lead in Star Wars Rogue One. Now, many people think that, Rogue One, that's got to be dealing with the X-Wings. And according to the synopsis that we read last week, it's not. According to, this is Screen Rant here, and they're quoting film slash film. They're reporting that the rumored storyline for Edwards' spinoff, which is the first standalone, the film will be a heist movie about the mission to steal the original Death Star plans. The team responsible for capturing the plans is composed of bounty hunters. The Millennium Falcon will be involved. Han Solo will not appear in the movie. The spin-off's protagonist will be introduced in The Force Awakens. Those are the rumors. So the protagonist, which, you know what, that's classic Disney / Marvel, right? That's what they've been doing, introducing characters. So that would make sense. We already kind of speculated that we would start seeing characters from these spin-offs appearing in the trilogy.
Yeah.
In the new trilogy. So, okay, that's the rumor of this. Now, it says that Felicity Jones will play the lead in Star Wars Rogue One, the first franchise spin-off for Lucasfilm and Disney, which will open in theaters December 16th, 2016. The release date holds true to statements from Disney about annualizing the Star Wars movie brand with standalone characters-focused movies, filling in the schedule gaps between one core episodic installment. Okay, so there's a little bit of information on that. Now, first, before we get into John Williams not composing this, I want to talk about Felicity Jones. So we didn't get to do that much on the last show.
No.
Give me some background. Give the listener some background on Felicity Jones, who she is, what she's done. Is she hot? What's her cup size? List the sizes. I'm just joking.
I don't think we have that information on IMDb, but Felicity Jones actually is very famous right now for The Theory of Everything. She played the wife of Stephen Hawking, Jane Hawking. Then she was also in Spider-Man 2, and she played Felicia, who later, there was a lot of talk that they were going to do a Black Cat movie, and she was going to be the Black Cat.
Well, she was dealt a bad, bad
with
a bad
Amazing
card with that
Spider-Man.
one because that
That fell apart.
Yeah, but now she's got this, which probably in the end might end up being better. I mean, forever remembered within the Star Wars universe is better than a Sony hack job of a Spider-Man franchise that they haven't been able to do.
Exactly. But mostly all of her resume is a lot of indie films. She's big in the indie scene. I mean, besides those two big projects, like big budget projects, the only other big project is actually, as funny as it sounds, another sci-fi franchise that's very infamous around fandom is Doctor Who. She was in Doctor Who, the 2005 series. And but besides that, her filmography looks like a J.J. Abrams standout.
Yeah.
You know, like how J.J. Abrams always takes those indie actors.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what this is the person that basically he probably handpicked. Honestly, I think that's what it is. Is JJ handpicked?
Do you think he's involved more than? You think he's involved a little bit? In
Dude,
this?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, well, okay. If she's being introduced in Force Awakens, probably was.
Probably was.
Yeah.
So I mean, like if you think about it,
I like that. I would like there to be one cohesive, hand overseeing everything. I mean, didn't Favreau produce Avengers?
yes,
I mean, so you have him involved in almost every single
aspect.
when it comes to the connection of connecting the worlds. You got to have one hand that kind of keeps a similar tone, because that's my fear with, which we're going to get into on Friday with the main show, with J.J. Abrams, basically bailing after episode 7, which, by the way, there's a rumor that he may not be.
Yeah,
That they may be knocking the director for episode 8 out.
Because of like creative differences.
I don't know. I don't know yet. There's been very small information leaked, but we're going to get into that in the full show. But
yeah.
Okay, so Felicity Jones is something that we can definitely look forward to seeing some real acting chops, and not just a terrible actor. We're getting into some good, thespian type areas here.
Yeah. Wow, thespian.
Yeah, there you go. I know some things. Okay, so composer John Williams will not score Star Wars Rogue One. Now, man, this is the fanboy in me. Now, the subjective side of me, the film buff, is like, you know what? There's thousands of composers out there that are remarkable.
But none of them are like John Williams.
You're right. But there's a part of me that says, you know what? There's been some epic scores that really grab you. But then I start thinking about it. Okay, let me think. Yeah, that was John Williams. I'm like, okay, what about this one? Oh, that was John Williams. And then I'm like, that was John Williams too. What was it, John Williams, that captured you? And don't give me no. I mean, and if you guys have tweets, you guys want to tweet us some composers that capture the hearts and minds of generations, then send me them. Tweet us at From Bacta Tank and let me know what your composers are. Because I just can't think. I mean, don't tweet me some bullshit like Hans Zimmer.
Is he?
And none of them are going to be right.
Is he iconic?
He's not going to be remembered like as you're not going to E.T., Indiana Jones,
Star
Wars, Superman. I mean, I could go on and on with the iconic films that he's done, that John Williams has done, and nobody holds a light.
No,
when it comes
I will
to
agree with
when
that.
it comes to what John Williams has accomplished. Now, going back to the subjective side, I mean, that was the fanboy of me. Subjective side also wants to say the exact same thing, that he is superior. But I think they will be able to do it as long as they stay true to Star Wars. Now, the only thing is this, and tell me if I'm wrong, jump in here. I think it'll be okay, and I'm going to announce who it is in a moment here. I think it'll be okay then bring out another composer if he doesn't try to copy John Williams. I know a lot of people said other things. A lot of people said, no, as long as he copies John Williams' style and keeps it Star Wars, that's fine with me. I'm like, but listen, this is something we've never seen before. A standalone movie that has nothing to do with the Skywalker storyline, right?
True.
So, yes, keep something, make it feel like a space opera, yes. Make it feel like a sci-fi. Don't give us Taylor Swift in the soundtrack. Don't give us the top 40, okay? Don't give us, product placement artists that just, the top 100, okay? Don't do that stuff to us. But do we really want someone going in there and copying John Williams, or do we want someone going in there and kicking some ass and composing something fresh and new that's completely fucking epic?
I understand your point. I mean, your point is very valid. However, my main stance, how I side with those fans that say they have to copy him, is it's very different when you're dealing with a franchise, though. A franchise has its tropes. Unfortunately, John Williams is a trope of Star Wars. It goes back to what, like what we said, he's iconic. When we think Star Wars, we just don't think George Lucas, Harrison Ford, or the cast. We also throw in John Williams in there.
It's the music.
It's the
for
music.
Sure.
The
for
music
sure.
for sure. I mean, like, the only composer of John Williams' status, he's the only one that I can think of that when Duel of Fates, that song, Duel of Fates, first came out, MTV released a music video on John Williams.
Yeah.
You don't see that with Hans Zimmer. You don't see that with other
it's Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
But you don't see that with other composers and everything. You only see that with John Williams. Why? Because he's so iconic and tied to that franchise. His style is that franchise needs his style. So, like, say for example, when they did Clone Wars, John Williams didn't score Clone Wars, but the composer of Clone Wars said, "Okay, I have to stick to that."
Yeah.
And literally, that's why Clone Wars, the soundtrack of it was so popular, was because they stuck to the idea that it's John Williams.
Right. And same thing with with Star Wars Rebels. They've done the same thing. They've copied a lot of John Williams. Now, I'm not saying you can't take cues, meaning actually take some of his music, because you got to have certain music. If you have some Imperials, maybe put the Imperial song in there.
Yeah, like what they did in Rebels.
Right, I get that, but I think there also should be a unique feel to the standalone movies. As long as it feels Star Wars, there should also make it feel like, you know what, it's debatable, man. It's debatable because it's debatable because yes, we want it all to be Star Wars. Okay, let me give you an example. Yes, this is not Star Wars, but this is a good example of what Disney and Marvel are doing with something else. Look at Avengers. You have Iron Man. That's their soundtrack's chock filled with classic rock.
Yes.
You have Captain America. That is not.
That is not.
That's more filled with cinematic scores. You have Thor. That's filled with cinematic scores. Iron Man is more or less the only one of that series that has filled with classic rock, and it fits, the character they created in that movie. So if they were to do the same thing with Rogue One, and you got to give this character, Felicity Jones, and her team, whatever the story may be, a unique feel, then you may see something different, maybe something more electronic. Who knows, man?
Dude, that'd be actually really awesome if they did it like really electronic style and made Felicity Jones' character really stand out.
Yeah, but at the same time, keep the Star Wars music. I think they need to find, I think I've talked myself into this, David, this one. I think I've talked myself into circles here, but I think I've come to the terms with the fact that possibly maybe split the difference. Maybe give us something unique, but also stay true to the world of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to find, I'm sorry, man, most of these composers, they're not going to want to imitate.
No.
They don't want to do that. You imagine if someone hired you onto a job, even if they gave you, tons of money. Like, hey, don't exercise any creativity, David. I just want you to copy what is in front of you. Just copy this. Here you go. Just copy that. Like, it's going to be hard to find someone to do that job, honestly.
Yeah. Any composer out there that really is creative, like the ones that they've been talking about, I honestly can't see a really big name composer taking over.
Yeah. All right. Next, now, in this article, John Williams has composed a score for every single live action Star Wars movies to date and every Star Wars film, period, except the animated Star Wars: The Clone Wars that came out in 2008, and of course Star Wars Rebels. They don't mention that. That will change with Star Wars Rogue One, Disney's first standalone spinoff from director Gareth Evans. It's Evans? Why did I think it's Edwards?
No, it is Edwards. I think this is a
good job.
This is actually a mistyping on the article.
Wow. Making Star Wars spotted a recent interview from Evans. Jesus. Edwards composer, Alexandre. How would you say that?
Desplat.
Is that how you say Alexandra? Is it Alexandra?
Alexandra Desplat.
Alexandra Desplat? Let's look this up because we again we don't want to look like pudwhackers here.
Alexandre Desplat.
So we have Alexander Desplat.
Alexandre Desplat.
Duplat.
Duplat.
What is it? Klingon? Duplat. Here, let me add this in here real fast. Check.
Alexandre Desplat.
Alexander.
There you go.
So it's Alexander?
Yeah.
It's not spelled like that, but I guess, whatever. It's French. Alexander Duplat. I guess how you say it.
Alexandre Desplat.
Duplat. Okay. Sorry, Frenchies out there. Please don't be offended. I'm American and we're stupid. So I guess composer Alexander Desplat claiming that he'll be the one scoring the film, which stars Felicity Jones. His quote, "We, Gareth Edwards and I," oh look at now they say it right, "will make another movie together very, very soon, which is a Star Wars spinoff." So I guess they've worked together before. Can you pull some background on him for me while I read the rest of this?
1 sec.
It's actually a big week for John Williams not scoring movies. In fact, earlier today, DreamWorks sent out a press release announcing that Williams was not working on Steven Spielberg's next project, the Cold War espionage thriller, Bridge of Spies. Williams' absence was blamed on his schedule getting interrupted when he was rendered unavailable to score the film due to a minor health issue. Oh no, please don't die. Now corrected. Both of these items are kind of a big deal. Williams' music defines the Star Wars universe. It would be shocking if Duplat's Rogue One score didn't still lean heavily on his classic themes. But it will mark one of the first really meaningful musical contributions to the franchise from someone other than Williams in 40 years. Can you imagine being Alexander? Can you imagine being this guy, man? The weight on his shoulders. Yeah, that's a payday, and this is a career maker. Like, he does have a career now. Yeah. But this is, I mean, his career, if this goes well, is going to go through the roof, or it could destroy his career. So, man, this is one of those jobs. This is like the JJ taking on the directing of Episode 7, in my opinion. It's right up there with that.
It's right up there, definitely.
It really is, man. Just like if JJ F's up Episode 7, he's pretty much done. He'll be hated for all time. And same thing with Alexander Desplat. Same exact thing.
Yeah. And I mean, Alexander Desplat, his filmography, let's see. He has a very extensive filmography, actually. He has over 100 movies under his belt.
Really?
He worked in Godzilla. He was
so he did work with Gareth Edwards.
He did work with Gareth Edwards. The one that everyone always points to as his best work is the Grand Budapest Hotel. Recently, he did Imitation Game, Monuments Men, which is actually really good. Argo. He did Argo. And a lot of, he's been in a lot. Zero Dark 30, he did that one. He did Harry Potter. So
here, I got some music here. Let's see. So he's done scores then.
He's done scores.
I'm not very impressed yet. I'll tell you that right now.
What, you can't picture?
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, Twilight. All right, I could see that.
Yeah, it's very. It does have that grand orchestra feel that John Williams has.
All right, let's see what's next. Godzilla.
It is from Godzilla.
Okay, I could see some Imperial ships flying over the horizon. Maybe a little bit of lightsaber battle. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, as I said, it has that grand orchestra feel.
Yeah.
Which is key to a lot of John Williams stuff.
Now, again, this guy's good, but you put his music... Okay, for example...
It's asking a lot.
You put a John Williams song on, and you can be like, oh, that's John Williams. Oh, that's John... He is one of the few, in my opinion, one of the few composers that have his thing down. He has his thing down. You know, like when you look at a Tarantino, when you look at a Tarantino movie, you're like, oh, that's a Tarantino movie. When you see a Rodriguez movie, oh, that's a Rodriguez movie. Even when, more or less, when you see a J.J. Abrams movie, besides the troll hate on lens flare, forget that for a moment, you can usually say, oh, that's a J.J. Abrams movie. You know, certain directors have their styles, and you can usually pick them out if you know what to look for. Same thing with composers. But thing with this guy, yes, it's beautiful music, but is there something there where you're like, oh, that's Alexandre Desplat? No. John Williams, though. I mean, come on, John Williams, man.
You bring up anything John Williams, people can picture it, but that's the thing about him as exactly.
I mean, that's epic, and it's not just because we grew up with it. It's not. Like, some people will be like, oh, it's because you guys grew up with it. I'm like, no, dude, my son who's 7 never grew up with anything, and I'll play music like this in the house, and he gets that little embarrassed grin where he's like, he's all excited, and he's 7 and doesn't know anything about music. There is something about John Williams that instantly grips you.
And it's his music.
I mean, I have a nerd boner right now. Yeah. I got a quarter chub.
And anybody who hears John Williams music, that's what they associate it with. Yeah. That's why a lot of times the Superman soundtracks have a problem. It's missing this.
Yeah.
That could be a problem with Star Wars.
Yeah, you're right. Because look, okay, Superman Returns. John Williams didn't score the entire thing. John Williams
didn't do it.
But he did they used his intro.
Yes.
For the Superman Returns. And then they brought on a composer who did a really good job imitating. And again, I'm not a fan of imitating, but he did a good job keeping the tone. You bring Man of Steel in, and they completely changed. And the music was good, but it wasn't John Williams good.
John Williams good.
And this is we can talk about this all day. It looks like we are. But but this is the debate that you're going to start seeing in the circles. And you know what? If you guys want to say, oh, we're fanboys screaming that the sky's falling, we're not saying anything about doom and gloom. Yeah. We're not. We're just stating,
do a good job.
We're just stating the facts that it's not John Williams.
The importance of John
that
Williams.
Could either be it's going to go two ways. It's not going to be good, or it is. But do you think it's going to be iconic? And I think iconic goes hand in hand with Star Wars. But when you're making a movie every year, can you have iconic?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Exactly.
So we've harped on this for a very long time. I guess the movie is scheduled to come out. They're shooting this summer in London. They're going to start shooting this summer in London.
Yep.
And it opens December 16th, 2016. So John Williams, parting Star Wars. Who knows if he's not... Hopefully they have him on contract for episode 8. Please don't die, John Williams. Please do episode 8 for us.
Don't worry if you break a leg.
Now, last bit of news. How Mission Impossible 5 is affecting Star Wars. I don't know. This is an email that also got sent to me about an hour and a half ago. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Mission Impossible 5 went rogue before Star Wars claimed Rogue One. I guess there's a conflict here, saying that we all know that people are dumb and people will get confused with name titles, even though one's called Rogue Nation and one's called Rogue One. And I guess Paramount and Disney have come to a deal that Disney will not promote Rogue One in a public fashion, like in movie chains and whatnot, until after Mission Impossible 5 has premiered, I think, this summer.
Yes.
And then after that, it's play ball for Disney. And honestly, you usually don't see studios playing nice like that in this aspect. Meaning, usually they don't give a shit. They're like, whatever, man. You know what? We'll do what we want. You know, but I think the reason why is obviously Mission Impossible is one of JJ's franchises that he produces and executive produces. And obviously Star Wars is now too. So I think that's the reason for them playing nice and making a deal that you probably wouldn't have seen in the past.
But dude, we talked about this off air. How stupid is this article?
Yeah, it's clickbait.
It's like, do you understand that basically there is no real drama here? There really isn't. If you know the film industry, or if you've actually studied the film industry, worrying about a person's title, another project's title, is utterly stupid.
Yeah.
It's utterly stupid. It's not like Well, it's called Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Look at, see, you already messed up.
I already messed up.
You already messed up.
But someone's gonna mistake Mission Impossible for Star Wars.
Yeah, dude, people are dumb, man. They are. They
How
now,
dumb do you have
think
to be,
about
though?
it. It's not Mission Impossible. It's, imagine like they do, like, you know, sometimes they do subtle marketing, like this summer, Rogue Nation's coming at you. Then all of a sudden you say, coming 2016, Rogue One, and somebody be like, I thought Mission Impossible Rogue One was coming out this summer. Now it says December 2016. I'm fucking confused. Dude, tell me you don't see that.
I want to believe that the humanity out there is smart.
Listen, when you have people emailing you, David, asking you why they can't push play on your website for a show, and I'm like, it's the triangle button that's turned sideways. That's the play symbol. It's the universal symbol for all methods of pushing play. Okay. Once you experience that, David, then come back and tell me this. I can't find the play button.
Okay. All right. I hopefully will not run into that.
Yeah. So, you know what? On that note, we are going to end this Bacta update. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week with a full show. We'll be in studio this Friday. It will be a full Bacta show with parodies. I promise you it will be out no later than Wednesday, chock filled with all kinds of updates, news, comedy, parody. So look forward to that. Again, you can find our shows on Stitcher Smart Radio as well as iTunes. Just search Star Wars From the Bacta Tank or just From the Bacta Tank. Add us to your favorites on Stitcher. Thank you, David.
And may the Force be with us.
Thank you for listening to From the Bacta Tank. And From the Bacta Tank is executive produced by Michael Flores and Dustin Lucas. Hosted by Michael Flores, David Zabal. You can find out more about our show by going to www.fromthebactatank.com. You can also find us on Twitter at FromBactaTank, as well as Facebook, facebook.com/FromTheBactaTank. Thank you.